Hello, everyone. Our top story here at 5 o'clock. Portland City Council right now is hearing 6 hours of testimony about the mayor's proposal to ban daytime homeless camping in the city of Portland. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. That ban is one of 2 major homeless issues the city council took up today. The other is a settlement on a lawsuit filed against the city, which argues it's in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act for allowing tents to block sidewalks. Our
Blair Best is outside City Hall. She's been following this all day. Blair, bring us up to speed on this.
David, Laurel, I just left council chamber, and as you mentioned, the homeless crisis is a major topic here today. Earlier today, there was a protest outside City Hall, all in response to arguably the most controversial issue being proposed today, and that's that ban on daytime camping. Now, as the mayor was outlining what's in that ban, he was talking over people screaming on megaphones outside City Hall. Now, more than 100 people signed up to testify today, and I can tell you it is heated on both sides of this issue. Now, here's how that daytime camping ban breaks down. It prohibits all camping from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and puts a complete ban on camping on public property, including parks, sidewalks, near schools, daycares, and high crash corridors. Now, one of the most debated pieces of this ban is that if someone repeatedly violates it, they would face fines or 30 days in prison. Now, Mayor Wheeler says many people, including business owners, are for this ban, while the overwhelming majority of people here today oppose it.
I feel disgusted. I feel disgusted that we're still at this point, 3 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later. We're still coming here, coming, expressing that this is not what the community wants.
In a district struggling to recover following the pandemic, navigating around tents, trash, human excrement, and drug paraphernalia is simply too intimidating and traumatic for many workers and customers to feel safe returning. Something needs to change.
Now, in line with this ban, earlier today, council unanimously voted to comply with an ADA lawsuit settlement, claiming that the city is in violation of the ADA for allowing tents to block sidewalks. Now, the city agreed to take several steps to eliminate sidewalk camping. Among those are removing 500 tents a year, prioritizing those that block ADA access, and a ban on all of the city's tent and tarp distribution, except during severe weather. Now that heads to the federal court for final approval. Now, Mayor Ted Wheeler says his goal is to make sure there's enough shelter so he can eventually eliminate all homeless camping. But how long that will take is still unclear. But if this ban on homeless camping passes, that would go into effect in July. And as you mentioned, testimony tonight is scheduled to last for 6 hours. David, Laurel?
Yeah, clearly one thing everybody could agree on, we need some sort of a solution. Thank you, Blair. This evening, we're hearing from people who witnessed a deadly police shooting with more than a dozen shots fired about 24 hours ago at East Mill Plain and Andreessen in Vancouver, right outside a Safeway.
In the video you're about to see, you'll hear gunshots, but you won't see the suspect get hit. Mike Benner's at the shopping center tonight where that investigation is still underway. Mike?
Yeah, Laurel, just a few hours ago, we watched as 3 detectives canvassed this area for additional evidence they might have missed during the initial investigation last night. And if I step out of the way, I can show you what they were looking at today, at least one of the things they were looking at, that boarded up window at the medical supply store. That window was broken in the shooting. That's left a lot of people in this area feeling quite unsettled. Late Wednesday morning in Vancouver, a handyman repairs a door damaged in a deadly police shooting that happened hours earlier.
And all of a sudden, I hear this pop, 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 and then another pop.
Tina Palmer was working at Ari's hair salon when she heard what she thought was fireworks. Turns out it was the gunfire that was captured in this video recorded by an eyewitness.
Oh my God.
It is very frightening. I don't like it.
Investigators say it all unfolded around 5:30 Tuesday evening. A detective spotted an armed robbery suspect driving on East Mill Plain Boulevard. That detective, we're told, called for backup, and together they watched the suspect park and go into the Safeway at East Mill Plain and Andreessen. Several minutes later, we're told, the man came out of the store, and when he saw law enforcement, he shot at them. 3 Vancouver police officers and 1 Clark County Sheriff's deputy returned fire, killing the wanted man.
It's always shocking to see when something bad happens to somebody.
John Devlin is a manager at Craft Cannabis. He says one of the dispensary's security cameras captured the deadly shootout.
Just kind of showed him reaching up with his arm, definitely had a weapon in his hand, pointing it at police, and then from there they took action, and we're pretty thankful for that.
Thankful, Devlin says, because more than a dozen people were in the dispensary at the time of the shooting, but not one customer was hurt. Neither was Tina Palmer at the nearby hair salon.
It's scary out there. It doesn't matter where you live anymore.
All right, it's worth noting that the officers and the deputy involved in this shooting were not hurt, but they are on paid leave, which is standard protocol in the wake of something like this. Back to you.
Mike Benner in Vancouver. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that update. Let's take you to Eugene, where police say 2 students at South Eugene High are likely behind a series of hoaxes that disrupted classes 4 times this month. Detectives say the students allegedly paid a person they found online to call in the threats for them. The caller saying they were inside the school armed with guns and explosives. Police say the break in the case came when a district official found a social media post offering to send in threats for a fee. Now, with the FBI's help, Eugene police say they traced contacts from that post to the 2 students. The DA's office will decide on possible charges. Authorities are now working to track down the person behind the post.
Now a follow-up to a KGW investigation into a case that sparked citywide outrage last summer. You may recall a man was released from jail just hours after allegedly assaulting a father and his 5-year-old daughter riding bikes on the waterfront. Police called it a racially motivated attack. Investigative reporter Kylie Boshi has been following this case and joins us from the newsroom with an update. Kyle?
This is an important development, Laurel. Defendants charged with first-degree bias crime will no longer be allowed to walk out of jail the same day. Oregon's Chief Justice Megan Flynn signed an order requiring suspects in the most serious racially motivated attacks be held in jail at least until arraignment before a judge. The change in statewide guidelines follows a racially motivated attack last summer involving a family of Japanese descent. Police say Dylan Kesterson punched a father and his 5-year-old daughter while they're riding bicycles on the East Bank Esplanade. Kesterson was able to walk free hours after the alleged assault. He was subsequently linked to at least 3 prior racist attacks in downtown Portland. Asian American groups, prosecutors, and crime victims pushed to change statewide policy that allowed Kesterson to be released. The guidelines for when to release defendants prior to their first court appearance is based on a statewide order that went into effect on July 1st of last year, 1 day prior to Kesterson's arrest. In general, the guidelines require that people charged with more serious offenses, including violent felonies, sex crimes, and domestic violence, not be released until they appear before a judge. Bias crimes weren't on that list, but now they are, specifically bias crime in the first degree.
The community spoke up, organized, and sent a strong message that fortunately I think the court heard.
Dylan Kesterson currently remains in custody according to court records, although his case has been delayed because he's refused to participate in mental health evaluations and won't come to court for fitness to proceed hearings.
Thank you, Kyle. Well, let's take you live to the nation's capital now, where the House is debating a bill to suspend the debt limit. It's cleared a procedural vote, but there's no guarantee the deal will pass in the coming hours. More than 30 House Republicans say they will vote against the measure because it doesn't cut spending deeply enough. Some Democrats are also opposed. If it passes, then it's off to the Senate, where some, like Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, have said they plan to vote against it. Now, keep in mind, lawmakers have just 5 days left to send the bill to the president's desk or risk the country defaulting on its debt. Let's bring in our Thomas Schultz now. Thomas, the proposal that's been worked out could have a really big impact on some who receive SNAP or food assistance benefits. What do we know?
Yeah, David, if the debt limit agreement passes, recipients in their early 50s would be required to work or volunteer for 80 hours a month to qualify for those benefits. Now, there are some stipulations. This only applies to childless adults who do not have a physical or mental condition affecting their ability to work. Veterans, people who are homeless, and those who were once in foster care are also exempt from the new work requirements. But data shows this could impact a large number of Oregonians. USDA data shows almost 730,000 Oregonians are recipients of SNAP as of February of this year. That's a rise of hundreds of thousands of people in the past 5 years, and in Washington, the numbers are even bigger. 904,000 people are on SNAP, 50,000 joined in the last year. Food bank workers I spoke with say this could have a severe detrimental impact on some families. Average SNAP benefits are $254 a month for an individual and almost $500 for a family. Food bank workers say SNAP benefits can make a huge difference as a person or family tries to get their feet underneath them.
You know, SNAP, for example, it's really kind of a blanket solution, and it doesn't have the ability per se to be as dynamic and really address each individual situation.
It says there are people he sees between 50 to 54 who just don't have the time or capacity to work 80 hours a month. But he says there are instances where the stipulations could be beneficial. David?
Thank you, Thomas.